This conference will now be recorded.
All right. Call the
Unmuted.
meeting to order. The Lander County Commission meeting, Town Board of Battle Mountain and Austin Board of County Highway and Commissions, May 13th, 2021. So, Brian, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll have a moment of silence. All right, moving forward, Lander County Commissioners may break for lunch from 12 p.m. to 1:15 p.m. Any agenda item may be taken out of order, may be combined for consideration by the public body, and items may be pulled or removed from the agenda at any time. Commissioners' reports on meetings, conferences, seminars attended. Patsy.
Thank you. I have no report on my meetings.
I don't have anything to report.
I do not have anything. Brian?
No.
All right, moving forward. Staff reports on meeting, conferences, and seminars attended.
Good morning, Commission. So our lands bill is on the House floor now, so hopefully here in the next month we have something to report on where our lands bill is and what kind of ground we have or haven't gained on that. Then we also had a truck wreck on I-80, I guess this morning, just outside of Reno, that has put a few people behind, so I might ask you as we go through this agenda to hold up. I think Robert might have even been caught up in that one, is what I was told.
Tim Holland.
Yes, so
Tim Holland.
yeah, so Tim Holland is one of the gentlemen, and there's another gentleman from Sky Fiber that was in it as well. And then I've had a lot of questions on what our patriotic social gathering is. And so just to be clear for the community and anybody who is confused by this, it is upholding the oath of office and the Constitution as written. This is not political based, and if anybody wants to consider the Constitution or the oath of office considered political, I think that that's as dead center down the middle of politics as you can get. It's what's doing what's right. So that's what this is based on, and I think it's going to be a great thing not only for our community but for the country. Our sheriff has been working. He's probably got a little update to give later on law enforcement and what we'll have in town. I know that he's done a great job of putting everything together to make sure that we're as safe as we can be for what it is. So hopefully everybody can sleep easy at night. I do. And I know that my name's been plastered all over it, so everybody who's worried about BLM or anybody else, I don't know of anybody else's name that's been put on this as much as mine personally. And you don't see me going anywhere, and I don't plan on it. So that's the only update I have. I hope that the rest of it goes well.
I've got one thing. Does anybody know what is going on just west of Valmy on the south side of the freeway? They're digging it up. They got a bunch of trucks out there in that field. Or are they building a truck stop or something? Does anybody know? Okay.
Are we good to go forward? Okay. Public comment for non-agendized items only. Persons are invited to submit comments in writing and or attend and make comments on any non-agendized items at the board meeting, if any. Any discussion of those comments at the discretion of the board. All public comment may be limited to 3 minutes per person. And again, at the discretion of the board. Reasonable restrictions may be placed on public comments based upon time, place, and manner, but public comments based upon viewpoints may be restricted. Do we have any public comment?
I have public comment.
Okay.
So, there's 3 words I want to define before I go into my public comment. The first word being patriotic. It's having or expressing devotion to and vigorous support for one's country. And I'd like to remind everybody that's on this board, we took an oath of office. I, for one, take it very seriously, as I feel that every elected official in this county should. Second definition, define social gathering. Social gathering, a gathering for the purpose of promoting fellowship, social affair, assemblage, gathering.
right? Last word is patriot. A person who vigorously supports their country and is prepared to defend it against enemies and detractors. I want to clarify the word detractors. One who detracts or takes away or injures the good name of another. One who attempts to disparage or belittle the worth or honor of another. Okay? So, I attended a school board meeting in Austin this week because I was very upset of something that happened. My wife put out a flyer and made mention to the elementary kids that was trying to encourage support for the children to come and sing at our patriotic gathering, to sing some of our patriotic songs. We figured it would be really cool. Well, she was later reprimanded by the superintendent and was told to retract her statement, to call anybody she called to say that she shouldn't have done that the school does not support that, it takes a neutral stance. So my comment to the school board was, since when is it not okay to teach our children what it is to be American, to be a patriot? That's what it's about. That's what this country's about. We take an oath of office to protect our Constitution of the United States. So I'm just making it very public. I'm being very transparent, making sure everybody here knows about it, the board knows about it. That's my public comment.
Moving forward, consent agenda, all matters listed under the consent agenda may be considered routine and may be acted upon by the Board of County Commissioners with one action without extensive discussion. Any member of the board or any citizen may request that an item be taken from the consent agenda, discussed, and acted upon separately during this meeting. Consent agenda materials are available at the Lander County Clerk's office for viewing, and copies are available for a nominal charge. 1. Approval of May 13th, 2021 agenda notice. Number 2. Approval of May 7th, 2020 special budget workshop meeting minutes. Number 3. Approval of March 22nd, 2021 special workshop meeting minutes. Number 4, approval of March 25th, 2021 meeting minutes. Number 5, approval of April 8th, 2020 meeting minutes. Number 6, approval of April 14th, 2021 special budget meeting minutes. Number 7, approval of April 22nd, 2021 meeting minutes. Number 8, approval of payroll change requests.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
just a correction when you read on number 1, it was the amended agenda notice. And with that, the only ones I did not receive were number 2 and number 7. So if everyone's all right with the rest of them, I'll make a motion that we approve 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 8.
You did, yeah, Patsy, you did get item 6, April 14th?
Yes.
Okay.
1, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 8.
I'll second the motion.
Patsy made the motion and Brian second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Moving forward. For discussion on possible action to approve, disapprove the payment of bills. In that, we need to pull out bills, or checks, 211627, 211592, 211712. Do we have any others that need to be pulled?
I'll make a motion, we approve the payment of the bills minus the 3 that you read.
Second.
Patsy made the motion, Art second, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All right.
And I will make a motion now that we approve checks number 211627, 211592, and 211712.
All second,
I'll make second.
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstain. They're made to my employer.
All right, very good. Moving forward, for discussion and possible action to approve, disapprove the closure of Altenburg Avenue to all traffic for the patriotic gathering on Saturday, May 15th, 2021.
So this is just, we believe we're gonna have enough traffic there that we should close out. We're gonna open up the closure briefly to let the flag parade through for parking. And outside of that, we want to be able to close it. We left this open-ended so we can close it a little bit early and we don't have people setting up camp prior to the gathering.
Well, I make a motion that we approve the closure of Altenburg to all traffic for the patriotic gathering on Saturday, May 15th, 2021.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
And Weaver.
And Weaver?
Because it's part of Weaver Avenue too.
Oh, okay, and part of Weaver.
And then you second the amended?
Yes, I'll second the amended motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, moving forward.
And then,
Can we table item number 3? That's one of the gentlemen who was caught in the traffic this morning.
Absolutely. All right. Okay. Just,
No, not table. Table is the wrong word. I apologize, but just hold it. We can skip that and then come back to it
Okay.
when he shows up. I apologize.
no worries. So, for number 4, for discussion and possible action to approve and disapprove the payment of bills for Robin Gray DBA 7 Valleys LLC for services already provided, even though contract has expired.
Madam Chair, if you could open up the next one also, I believe that when we talk about this, we may be
Oh.
talking about both of them simultaneously.
Okay, so we'll open up number 5 for discussion and possible action to advertise and request proposals for black fly and mosquito abatement.
So a little background on this, we didn't have a current contract, and then when we started getting bills from 7 Valleys, looking back at their contract, there is no real accountability for it. These bills come in and they're on good faith. These are the hours I put in, this is what I'm charging. Our contract doesn't have a not to exceed or any parameters on it. We're providing a vehicle, we're providing, payment of the airplane when it comes in. There's some things in this contract that I think need to be looked at a little bit stronger that we aren't doing for any other contractor that comes into Lander County. And that's why I would like to, for one, I'd like to pay these bills. They're doing a good job. They have poisoned the black flies and the mosquitoes. We don't have any really going on this year. So they've done a good job with that. But I didn't want them to continue working without a contract in place and without some sort of understanding of accountability. So,
And plus, our accountant strongly believes that this falls outside the exception to the bidding process. So since no exception, it's not a contractor that has special equipment or special education, so it has to go out to bid.
Oh, I see.
Only those contractors like public defenders or things that have a special
Okay.
ability, special education to do, can be accepted from the requirement to be put out to bid. So I believe legally that this needs to be put out to bid.
Okay.
In our history, we actually did
Yes.
go out for bid, but we couldn't, nobody else came forward. And so I guess maybe we haven't recently, so we need to do that. But in looking at the old agreement that they had, for some reason it expired in February, and we didn't catch
Right.
that. Is that it? I go, why would we expire something in February? Isn't that a strange time to do a
It
contract?
is. How many year contract was it?
Yeah. But I certainly think that we surely need to pay this bill, or these bills. But the interesting thing is, it only comes before us in June anyway. And so if we've done this for all these years and it expires in February and it doesn't come before us in June, and of course they start, all of their preparations and everything early, we'd almost be legally estoppel
Right, and that's why Bertola was.
from not
bringing-
paying it, so.
And that's why Bertola was
Okay,
bringing that up.
I will go ahead
So
and
we
make the
can
motion.
change those pertinent
Before you
factors.
make a motion, I've
Yeah.
got something to say.
Yes,
This is, Robin's been operating as an independent contractor because we give them vehicles, we give them space, we give them tools. I just realized that. We can't do that. We can't have an independent contractor.
That's why we have to revisit all these
Yes,
things legally.
yes.
You're absolutely,
When I was working at the pound, I remember them coming out, they had their own seat-tainer, they had county vehicles. So, yeah, we gotta straighten this out.
So I have a question before, is there something that we can do on these contracts, that when we make payments, that there's something at the top of them that says when they expire? So then it's easy for us to catch, so we, cause now everybody's going through contracts every month. Is there something that can be a flag on there to remind that these contracts are coming up, so we don't have?
Madam Chair, we've been doing that for the last couple of years now. There've been contracts stuck in the system for 20 years that we've been trying to unstick. It can't all be done in one day.
Oh,
but
no,
we're-
that's not what.
But we are, my office, along with the admin office, working together, are going through each and every contract, and this is one of them.
Okay.
I mean, we have put into place what you're just
Okay.
recommending we put
Okay,
in place,
very
is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Okay, now, with that, then, clarify for me, we're gonna pay the past bills, and we're going out for bid, but is she continuing while we're going out for bid, or what if we need,
Not unless you guys would like to do something on that, and I don't know that it's worded properly on here for that. We would have to bring that back for the next agenda to have them work on a time and material
Okay.
basis in the interim.
well, it is my concern, by the time we get our bids in and, you know, advertised and everything, that we may need some services to cut out some mosquitoes or black flies or something.
I think with 4 and 5 open simultaneously, I believe that we can entertain that right now as a caveat to both 4 and 5. So if you want to temporarily allow her to do it until a contract's been made, I think we have,
Yeah, because I would hate to see us infested with mosquitoes.
because that would fall under 4, because she's been doing that. And so you can say, well, continue to do that until we have a contract.
Okay,
Yeah, if the individual is willing to.
Right,
yes,
Yes.
but it would just be a temporary verbal agreement.
okay. So that needs to be stated like that in the motion?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Could we, if she denies, can we go out and solicit the service of somebody to temporarily
Yes.
spray? We can.
Yes.
We could do that regardless.
Yeah, we can do that regardless. Wait, or we can buy the stuff and have Lander County employee do it.
we do have the fogger, we bought that.
Right?
We do have some of the equipment, and a lot of the spraying is aerial spraying, which is done by Frey out of Fallon, which the county pays for separately and independently of this contract. But it's at the request of Robin, so Robin makes that request to Frey when she sees the need for it, and they come in and spray for mosquitoes, and then the county fronts that bill. Which is an interesting arrangement within our contract that I would like to, close them loopholes.
So right now, basically, the county can do everything
That's right.
Robin's doing.
That
On
was
its
my
own.
point. It's like we could move ahead of putting it out to bid.
Well, it's our truck,
Yeah.
and we're
exactly.
paying for everything.
Yeah.
Well, so the things that Robin does do or Seven Valleys, is they run around and they have all these gravel pits and all these other little places that, mosquitoes are hatching, and they bait the water and do a knockdown on all of them. And that's where the man hours on the ground come into play. The aerial spraying is more when the mosquitoes are at full size and, they're running around biting people by that point. We bring the plane in and hit them.
I would suggest you give the county manager authority to enter into a 3-month written contract, until we're able to put this out to bid. Because it should be 3 months, should be under $50,000 in it.
Yeah, I hope so.
We'll keep it that way.
Do we really need the 3 months, do you think?
Well,
No, I think that honestly is what I think would be a good option is that if I can reach out, there's other companies as well. I'll reach out to Seven Valleys, obviously we'd like to keep with somebody that we've worked with, and offer them to give me a not to exceed amount for, getting us through this summer so we can put this out to bid this winter when we don't have a bug problem. We'll see if they're willing to. If they're not, then let's reach out to some other companies that are interested and see if they're willing to get us through this summer, and then we can put this out for proposal come this fall and have a new good contract in place for next summer.
So he needs the authority to do that.
So I'll make a motion that we give authority to our county manager to handle our mosquito and black fly abatement.
And pay for all outstanding costs.
Oh, and pay for all outstanding costs to Robin Gray.
Second.
All right, Brian made the motion and Art second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. For discussion and possible action to approve or disapprove placing flow meters in the Reese River.
So I have Aaron Martinez here today. Throughout this process of the evaluation of our levee, we've come up with a lot of interesting facts. And one of the things is that they have the Reese River flowing very similar to the same flow rates as the Humboldt River. And that's part of what puts the county in the floodplain that we're in, and we have no historical data to dispute that. Part of what we would like to do at the end of this, and Aaron will get into this into more detail, is put flow meters throughout the river all the way up to the headwaters. Currently, there's only 2. I'm not exactly sure of their locations. Aaron probably is better familiar with that, but put them throughout, and it'll be a 20-year study that we have to do in order to get the true flow rates of the Reese River and potentially downsize our floodplain, the levee, a whole bunch of things. But this is the data that they need in order for us to move forward, and I'll let Aaron kind of lead into the rest of it.
Morning, Aaron.
Good morning, Commissioners. Aaron Martinez, AM Engineering, 742 D Street, Oakland, Nevada. It's a pleasure being in front of you today. As you know, my firm was not necessarily involved with the levee project prior to now, but the county hired us to assist in the levee review that was performed by an outside firm out of Utah. You folks received that review and made some decisions to not move forward with that new proposed levee project. So as part of my dealings with this project and helping the county kind of navigate where we're at today, I've learned some really interesting things, and if you could pull open just that guy. Some of the interesting things I learned going through this was, again, as Mr. Ramos identified, the Reese River is really being, in my mind, grossly exaggerated in terms of flow, and I'll show you that here. And to give you an idea, and I know we've talked about this before, you can see the Reese River component here. It says at the 100-year flood that it's pushing 8,620 cubic feet per second. But below that, it shows the Humboldt River pushing 7,510. And so, in my mind, just that alone is just a huge disservice to the community. It's kind of like in hydrology terms for engineering, it's hard to negate another hydrologist's results because kind of depending on how you skin that cat will dictate a certain value. And basically how they skinned this cat dictated that the Humboldt River flows less than your Reese River. And I think all of us kind of understand that that just doesn't make sense. And so that's kind of the other sad part of this is I don't understand how the original firm that evaluated your levee didn't look at this and say, wait a second here, why aren't we doing a flow reduction before we ever try to say, let's design infrastructure to transfer these flows? And so I think that was misstep number one is the original levee design that you folks were proposed was pushing or trying to protect against 8,620 CFS. But when I look at the Reese River and kind of doing our own evaluation, we're thinking that at a 100-year flood could probably be a third of that. And so when you start looking at those numbers, then you really start to evaluate what that end impact would be. And I'll show you a map here. Bear with me.
So Aaron, let me ask you, are these numbers the same numbers that FEMA is using,
That's right.
right?
Yes, that is
Okay.
directly from their information.
And do you know the date that these numbers were generated?
You know, I could get back to you on that, Commissioner. I don't know when they established it. One thing I do know is it seems to be really old data because there's a lot of things that point to certain aspects, like for instance, the I-80 corridor is not evaluated in the floodplain. and we all know that the IED corridor is maybe 60s, 70s, or maybe in the 80s when that was developed. So it looks like their data is previous of that, because this map I'm about to show you doesn't show any effects of the I-80 corridor, doesn't show any effects of your existing levee that you do have. So that was really interesting to me, as it seems like really old data. Bear with me here. You have to bear, excuse me, I don't have that map in front of me, but basically there's a floodplain map that you've all seen about a mountain, and it just shows the whole thing being covered. And kind of the idea that we were looking at is if we did a flow rate reduction, which is what is in front of you today, these gauge stream data, then we might be able to then affect that map in floodplain by saying, okay, we don't have 8,000 CFS, we may only have 4,000, so what does that look like? And so I guess globally, the item in front of you today is about putting gauge systems in the stream. But really what it is even bigger than that is if Lander County wants to take a long-range plan approach, as I call it, and looking at your existing levee and trying to come up with certain steps to leverage that existing investment that you do have and see if you can get protection from that levee. Because right now FEMA is not giving you any credit of that levee. It's not giving you any boundary protection that the I-80 corridor is giving. And I think if you were to go out and look at that I-80 corridor, it's about 5 feet higher than your existing levee. So what I don't understand is how that itself is not a levee. And so the idea here is to take this long-range plan approach. The first step in that is the flow reduction, which Mr. Ramos identified to you today. That's a 20-year process. So if the other firm would have started when they first started with this levee, we would have the data to do our flow reduction. So that's a little unfortunate. There's 2 existing gauge stations that are out there. One of them is, or excuse me, both of them are at Mill Creek. And I'll show you that location. Number 21 and 20, so you can see Elko there. So that's the Reese River as they're showing it, and gauge station 20 and 21 are on Mill Creek. It seems to be right at the fork of the North Fork Canyon. So that's where the existing gauge stations are.
Hold on a second.
Yep.
You just said it was at North Fork?
Mill Creek, there's a little fork that kind of darts off to the northeast, and I think that canyon's called North Fork or something like that. There's 2 gauges sitting right there, as I understand. I've never driven out there, but that's where they're pulling their information from. And that's this information right here. If you look here on number 20 and 21, you'll see Mill Creek and then Mill Creek North Channel. It was the first one was established in 2006. The second one was established in 2011.
Okay.
The first one they looked at in 2009, and it said it had 56 cubic feet per second. And then they look at the second gauge in 2013, and miraculously, it too has 56 cubic feet per second.
And that's in North Fork Canyon.
That's what they're saying. I have, once you folks.
That's an intermittent flow.
Right, exactly. It'd be like a tributary, right?
And
Something
I've
flowing
never
into
seen
the
a-
Reese.
I've never seen any kind of
Ron?
box up there.
It'd probably just be a pipe sticking out of the ground, probably. And I'll kind of get into what these gauge stations look like. So, to kind of, one thing that is scary to me is if you see here, this top area says drainage area in square miles. And you know, it just happens to be funny that it's an indeterminate amount feeding that. Meaning, again, back to engineering terms, there's not enough analysis that's been done. And so really, if Lander County wants to tackle this, you really have to tackle it from a long-range perspective. It starts with the flow reduction, and then it comes down to once that flow reduction's done, then you would go about it by doing a CLOMAR and some of these other aspects of working with FEMA to try to get that map reduced. Get credit for I-80, get credit for your existing levee, potentially even increase that levee's height and start to get some of these freeboard actions. So to me, your best bet at this point, based on your current action, is to try to invest in the infrastructure you do have and go about it by potentially even getting FEMA accreditation. and establishing an operation and maintenance manual for your existing levee to try to bring that thing either up to speed and potentially even make it better, and then the end goal being getting credit for that and hopefully reducing your floodplain.
Do we have any cost estimates of what it would cost to put flow meters?
So today, yes, so I did start to establish a budget for you. Some of the things that I need is if you gave direction today would be for us to work directly with your county manager and public works department to establish that budget. There's some things that are gonna play into that. For instance, who installs the stream gauge itself, or do you want a contractor to install it? So those are some costs that I'm not sure if the county wants to take that on or hire someone to install those gauges. I was talking to the public works director about that. And then the second component that I need answered on is there's a quarterly maintenance and recordation. So every quarter you want someone to go out there, record the depth of the stream gauge, and then also make sure that there's no silt or debris causing any issues with the gauge itself. So there is some maintenance associated with it, and then the installation component themselves. For us to draw the detail for you is $90, and then the material cost for each gauge is about $250. So it's a very low cost situation, and I'll show you what the gauge looks like here. So I hope you folks can see that. It's essentially a 2-inch galvanized piece of pipe with a corking material inside there and a depth gauge. So as basically the water rises, the corking material goes up to a particular height. As the water recedes, it drops down. It's very efficient. It's very cost effective. And so you would see these gauges placed at those locations, which takes me to where would we put them. So again, we talked about Mill Creek being one of those locations. I think that it would be smart for Lander County to place any gauges where FEMA and those folks already have them, so that we can kind of double check their data, because if they're only checking it every 5 to 10 years and they try to use that data against us, we'll say, no, we have data right next to yours, and we've been recording it quarterly.
Let me ask you this, so where those are, the existing ones are now, if we put them downstream, do the flows change as it goes downstream because of saturation?
It could. It just depends on the area and the tributaries that are feeding that. You know, I think in this case here, we put them right next to gauge 21 and 20. And then the other place that I would suggest that we place them is right here at the I-80 corridor. And those two locations, I think, would be astronomical amounts of data for us going forward.
Bert, headwaters of the Reese River, Yamba, right?
Right.
Okay. You got Stewart Creek, Clear Creek, and Iowa Creek funnel down from the back of Arc Dome and dump in there.
Correct.
Okay, as you go down the Reese River and you heading towards Austin, are there any other streams that feed into the?
Oh yeah, there's quite a few. There's Big Creek. There's
Okay. What's? Man, there's another canyon. I can't think of the name of it. You can go. Ophir.
yeah,
Ophir has
Ophir
a stream.
feeds into it as well.
Okay, so all those streams below Yamba are feeding into the Reese River.
Yep.
But man, that's all snowpack. I cannot imagine how the Reese River flows like the Humboldt River. That just, you mean to tell me that this project out here has been built on a lie?
Which project are you talking about?
The levee, the whole thing was built on a lie.
We're definitely built on misinformation. I think if, like I said, if you were to kind of do a real analysis of the entire Reese River, depending on how you skin that cat, you could come up with much different numbers. And I think the gauge stream data is really gonna be the tall tale son. And you're absolutely right. I mean, it's certainly a disservice to the county residents, because we all know that this is saying 8,000 or 1,000 more CFS than the Humboldt, and that thing's dry over there right now, so.
Yeah, that just blows my mind.
I think is what Aaron is focusing on here is, like he said, from out here at Mill Creek to I-80, and that's mainly because that's what would affect us in a flood, and that's what's going to take us out of the floodplain. So that's where we want our gauges. It's a little shorter drive for us, you know, as far as time and material to get everything set up. And that would be kind of the focus. And I would like to take the money to do this, if the commission wishes, out of the flood levy project that we've already budgeted so much for, and start this 20-year process. The sooner the better.
Yeah, this has to be done. I wish we'd have come up with this a long time ago. That was,
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we allow Aaron Martinez's firm to work with our county manager in placing flow meters in the Reese River, and to use the existing funds that we have budgeted for the levy.
second.
Brian made the motion, Art second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I will be coming back to you guys with the total numbers, just so everybody's aware, of what this is, to put them in, what it is for the maintenance and everything else. You guys will be updated.
Well, thank heavens we have it now. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you, yeah.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. For discussion and possible action to approve, disapprove the closure of Altenburg to all traffic for the Battle Mountain all-class, all-town reunion, July 23rd through the 25th on 2021.
I'll make a motion that we approve the closure of Altenburg to all traffic for the Battle Mountain all-class, all-town reunion, July 23rd, 25th, 2021.
So just, oh, go ahead.
Well,
It's just, Lori Price, it's just the 24th.
Yes, and that was what I was gonna clarify, as I did not have a set date. That's why we put it through the whole thing, so whatever date it would
Right,
fall
so
on,
they
we
can
could
set
use
up.
that day, yes.
Okay, so it's only the one day?
Yes.
Okay.
okay. So, Art made the motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, so, right, in a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Alright, moving forward. For discussion and possible action to approve, disapprove the transfer of approximately 2.5 acres of land by deed from Lander County to the Lander County Historical Society pursuant to an agreement entered into between both parties on March 5th, 1992. This transfer should have been made in 1992 as a result of the Historical Society has put the museum on the county property and authorized the chair to sign.
Commissioners, what this says is, I discovered with Kyle's help that, well, Kyle had discovered, then with my help, whichever way you want to look at it, that in 1992, the then three-person board of Lander County Commissioners entered into an agreement, which is a contract between Lander County and the historical Lander County. It was Lander County Historical Society, and Lori Bennett at that time, now Price, is the person that signed on the Lander County Historical Society's behalf. And in that agreement, Lander County was supposed to transfer 2 parcels of land to them. They were going to build the building. Lander County would then become a sponsor of the project, which we are technically, legally a sponsor of the museum, and that in that regard, by contract, we would, they would build the building. That would be their responsibility, and put in all the property, or all the things that go into a historical society, and that the county would include the building and property under the umbrella of the county's general liability and property insurance. We would pay the cost of utilities, and this is each year, and we would pay for 1 employee as the county may hereafter determine to be proper. And with Laura's help in going through this, because we had one quitclaim deed, and it was discovered that quitclaim deed deeded part of an abandoned road, the road between where the museum is and where the church is. That's an abandoned road. And when a road is abandoned, or easement is abandoned, it goes to both property owners. So the property owner at that time was Lander County, but instead of the DA at the time, for whatever reason, in 1992, or shortly thereafter, transferred by quitclaim deed that property to the museum. No other properties were transferred to the museum, so technically they are the owners of half of an abandoned road easement. And I have done a quitclaim deed, and you'll see that in your backup. And I was meticulous about this, and in the quitclaim, it's a warranty deed, because if we have the land, we can warrant that it's free of any encumbrances. So I did it by warranty deed, so I could include the terms of the contract. And the terms of the contract, which allows her to be covered by insurance, the county pay for the utilities and for one employee. So what I'm asking today is that you look at the contract, it's provided to you, you look at the warranty deed, and I can vouch that the warranty deed is a correct deed. It has both parcels of land, and it's not 2.5 acres, it's approximately 2.2 or 2.2 and a half acres. Yeah, it's a little more with the abandoned road, but since the abandoned road's already been advanced to her,
Yes.
all we need to do is to catch up with this. And when I say catch up, it's from 1992.
Right.
So is to agree to sign the warranty deed and have the sheriff sign that on behalf of Lander County, and take into consideration that Lori came to us on behalf of the Historical Society to get a grant. So we could have to redo the grant because we are contractually obligated to pay for some of those things anyway. We're gonna have to create a line item for that, and Lori would hereinafter invoice the county out of that line item for the costs of utilities and the employee. And she is contractually obligated to use their own money for any buildings that are built on the land. I believe that covers it all. Laura, do you have anything you'd like to say?
I'd really like to resolve this problem. It's kind of embarrassing, and it needs to be resolved before I'm gone.
And you will be getting the tax. You will be getting tax bills from now on, once we transfer the land.
So, Counselor, when we approve this warranty deed, does that include the old agreement too? That's part of it?
I put it right in there. I put the language.
No, I see you did, but I mean, is that the motion that we include the
Yes.
agreement? Okay,
Got
it.
Yes, that you approve the warranty deed as outlined pursuant to the contract, and we would like the contract attached to it for the recordation process.
I'd like to acknowledge Lori that, wow, it's like 20 years you've been preserving Battle Mountain's history. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yes. But in the same token, we do need a full-time person because I have been doing this for free all of this time.
Yeah.
And I just don't know how long I can do this. So whoever takes my spot, I'll be able to say that you can get paid for this.
Yes.
I don't think I could find anybody that would do this for free.
Right.
Well, that's taken care of in the contract.
Well, I'll make a motion. Is there any more discussion or comment? You ready for a motion, Chair?
Yep.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the transfer of approximately
2.5 acres.
Okay, 2.5 acres of land by deed from Lander County to the Lander County Historical Society pursuant to an agreement entered into between both parties on March 5th, 1992. This transfer should have been made in 1992. As a result, the Historical Society has put the museum on county property and then authorized the chair to sign.
Can I get a second?
I'll second the motion.
All right, Brian made the motion and Patsy second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lori.
All right. So are we putting this as the Sky Fiber person here?
Thank
Here.
you.
Okay, everybody's here, okay, very good.
PC's here and Scott.
Okay, very good. All right. So moving forward, for discussion and possible action to approve and disapprove the internet service in Lander County at the following locations: Lander County Administration Building, Battle Mountain Sheriff's Department, Austin Sheriff's Department, from the following two bids with contracts to follow. Performance Computing, A, Administration Building, $1,000 monthly fee. B, Austin Sheriff's Department, $1,000 monthly fee. C, Battle Mountain Sheriff's Department, $1,000 monthly fee. 2, Sky Fiber with one set-up installation fee of $897 total. A, Administration Building, $850 monthly fee. B, Austin Sheriff's Department Courthouse, $850 monthly fee. C, Battle Mountain Sheriff's Department, $850 monthly fee.
Counselor, one of my questions on this is if, instead of going with one or the other, and since we have both of them here, is there something maybe that we can mix?
You certainly can.
So if we wanted Battle Mountain to go one way and Austin another way, we could do that?
You can certainly do that, or you could go in two ways.
I think Laura probably should get up and speak on behalf of the
Laura's
courthouse, and then Robert on the sheriff's office, so everybody can mix and match.
Right, so if Laura really likes PC, for instance, and you may want to go with Laura for PC, if you sort of decide, but you can go with Sky Fiber for the other things. You can miss, to
Okay,
answer your question, yes.
thank you.
I have a question first. It's obviously, we're spending taxpayer dollars, so I do like the cheaper monthly fee, but being in business my entire life, I understand the cost of service. So that would be my thing. I've dealt with the pleasure of dealing with PC for many years, and it's like I've had my own frustrations with my home internet, and it's just like having changed for whatever reason, it's very frustrating when you call to say, hey, I have an issue. Well, it's going to be a week before we can get out to, so what is the cost of that? So that would be one of my questions that I'd like Sky Fiber to answer, because our Performance already has a track record. Is like, if you provide service to the county and Sheriff or Under Sheriff Quick calls you, or our assessor calls you and say, hey, I have an issue, what is the response time?
Commissioner, yes, along those lines, I would suggest that you allow Sky Fiber to make their presentation.
Okay.
And then let PC Computing come up and make their
Okay.
presentation. And then allow Laura or anyone else to
Okay,
make
fair
comments after that.
Morning, guys.
Good morning. My name's David with Sky Fiber.
I'm Bradley Thompson with Sky Fiber.
And to answer your question about service time, we have a 24/7 call center. Techs based out of Reno and techs based out of Elko also, who respond to day or night issues, whatever they might be, depending on what equipment they have available at the time. But Bradley, he runs the service repair department, so he could probably answer that better to you.
So we have a 4-hour SLA, which means we will respond to anything that's reported to us within 4 hours. Unless there's an act of God, our typical turnaround on any major event is usually within that 8-hour window. So you're not going to be waiting a week for somebody to come out or make repairs in that kind of scenarios.
Okay, so if I have this right, because lots of times when we call, it's something that can be handled remotely and it's taken care of. So if I'm understanding this right, with your 4 hours, you're saying if there's something that breaks or you need to be on site for, you can be there within 4 hours.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I need to point one more thing out, Commissioner. On B of Performance Computing, it says Austin Sheriff's Department. On B of Sky Fiber, it says Austin Sheriff's Department / courthouse. It's the same thing. It's just that's how they presented their proposals. We're not talking about more or less. It's the same proposal. Sorry, thanks.
Is there any more questions?
I have a question. Why the service provided to Austin is a lot less than the service provided to Battle Mountain. Why is it the same cost?
Typically, those are usually equipment based or where the actual location is. So from a backhaul perspective, we might have more additional costs when it comes to where that's coming from. So where your fiber hubs are located, things like that. So even if it's a wireless service or if it's a fiber service directly, we have to bring those back into a core location. And typically speaking, we'll try to even out those costs across a proposal in order to save money across the board.
Second question and third question, because these are the questions that have come to my office.
Absolutely.
What are the speeds you will provide, and is there any other cost associated with putting in your service, since your service isn't in?
I'll let Dave answer that one.
The speeds that you were requesting was 250 megs going up to a full gig, if you wanted to go that fast. But the bottom line circuit provided in each fiber location that we were talking about is minimum 250 megs. You can go up generally with, well, he could report to that with a phone call. We can up the connectivity speeds within the same day, if you want to refer to that.
Right,
So
within
the-
24 hours, we can up it between that 250 and 1 gig range based on the hub location.
You did put down here 897 one-time setup and installation fee. Is that for each site?
Yes, typically that would be per site.
Okay, the county commissioners need to know that. That's all the questions I have.
I just want to clarify then, since if you're in those areas, that the residents also can take advantage of your service too, right?
That is correct, yeah. That's
Okay.
one of the things we love to do.
Then
is
tell me what your plans are for Smoky Valley.
Ah.
Are you going to do the Kingston area for us too?
That has been my mission for the last 6 months, to try to find a way to deliver circuits there. Right now, I'm in negotiations with Kinross Mine about allowing us to have a fiber pop at their location just for the specific need of serving Kingston and Gilman Springs area. So that I've been out there 3 times trying to figure out how to deploy connectivity out there. At one point, we were trying to bring it up from, we're going to be serving the Ormat power plant north of Highway 50, but they're dragging their feet too long, so I have to find another way to deploy the circuit there. And the Kingston mine seems very happy to try to help out the community in that area, because a lot of their residents live in Kingston. And so by going to the Kinross mine, that's a discussion that I've been in the middle of for about a month now.
Okay, so the residents would be able to access it, but there's no additional setup fee and installation or anything like that?
Well, I'm
This-
working on that with Robert Quick, as I have a permanent solution available. There will be a setup to get it to that town, but as far as once the residents are able to tap into it, it's going to be the normal residential cost pricing. So we're trying to make it all roll into one package where Kinross will kick in some money for the community to try to improve everybody's life.
Thank you.
What would you need in Kingston to improve services there, or Gilman Springs, that area? Do you need a tower?
Access to the water tank they have in Kingston, and I'm talking to the Water Board Commission. I've already had multiple discussions with them.
If you needed a tower, I mean, we could talk about that so that they have good internet down there, good
The
service.
short answer, and from the engineering side, since that's from my side of the house, the best way to get into any community is a high location that can see into somewhere that sees that backbone network, whether that be wireless or through a fiber network. And those are the only 2 things that we need to deploy in an area.
Yeah, okay.
So if it's a tower that we can get access to, even if that means, paying for some of the space that's on those towers, things like that, as long as it makes financial sense for us to be on that tower, we can deploy in almost any area as long as we can see it.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Any more questions for them? Laura, did you want to speak?
Well, let PC
Oh, PC, oh, okay.
Thanks, guys.
Sure, thank you.
Hello. Last time I forgot to state my name, so Jake Rux from Performance Computing.
Yeah, I did too. Heather Hill with Performance Computing.
So on ours, the speeds at the courthouse right now are 250 meg. Also, something that is not on this is the breakdown of the discounts that we give based on our equipment on the roof and our equipment on the water tower and our equipment in Austin. So that is there's a $250 discount for the courthouse, $250 discount on the bill for the water tower usage, and a $50 discount on the bill for the Austin Sheriff's Office.
Okay, what bill? Annually, monthly? Monthly.
Yeah,
Okay.
that is a monthly discount off that bill. That is already adjusted currently. We were waiting on this to do the full adjustment for next month's bill. But that is something just to kind of keep in mind.
So your $1,000 monthly fee per location is actually set back by those discounts you're getting.
Yes.
It's not reflected in that amount, correct?
Yes, correct.
So I would just like to clarify though, the discount is actually what we're charging them to have their equipment on our building, so I don't know that,
Oh, got you.
Just an
okay,
offset
so we're
there.
charging them rent.
Yes.
more or
Basically,
less, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and we're just discounting it off the bill. If you guys want us to just pay it, we can. If 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Yeah, the other thing with what we currently have is all of the static IP addresses that are used throughout this courthouse, that are used in the sheriff's office. There's a lot of things that would have to be adjusted on the back end if you decide to go with Skyfiber, which is fine. I mean, it's all up.
What works
To the
best for you
commissioners.
guys?
We are in no way saying who's better. It's whatever you guys decide, as long as the community benefits.
Yep.
You know, that's kind of what we want. This in no way affects our providing of internet service to the community. This is just for the county.
Do you guys provide comparable speeds?
Ours is 250 at the courthouse here. It's 100 at the sheriff's office here, and 100 at Austin.
What
100
are your speeds for public?
For the public, we are up to 25.
Up to 25, what determines that?
That would be determined on what the customers want.
So let's say somebody out in Hilltop, they can get 25?
Yes, once we get all of our
Once the
equipment
water, yeah,
on the
on the water tower. Yeah.
which is actually probably going to happen next week. I finally.
What is it currently?
If they can get service, if they can see the courthouse, then we currently offer up to 25.
I understand up to 25, so somebody on Hilltop, if they see the courthouse, can get 25.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So tell me about the South then, because we've had some really, really poor services, as you've probably been aware. And so are there any plans for the Smokey Valley?
Currently, no.
No? Okay.
But we are always looking at expansion. Having recently been bought out by a much larger corporation that has capital.
They're out of California, are they not? Is that it?
They're kind of all over, mainly in Oregon and California, yes.
Okay, because when we call, we sometimes wait, 2-3 weeks to get service. And so that's a big concern in the South.
Okay,
I mean, even at the courthouse, my internet goes down all the time. And it was a nightmare this last year because I'm in the middle of virtual meetings and
Yeah.
the system goes down.
now is that this courthouse?
No,
No,
Austin.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Austin.
Well, the last time that we had any issues with Austin, Robert called me up and I headed down there. I was there within a couple hours to get it back up, and it was just a power bump issue. So, I mean, our reply times, especially in the courthouse, I think have always been relatively quick. Anytime we have an access point that goes down here in Battle Mountain, we know within seconds, and we're either fixing it remotely or I'm deploying somebody out. But again, that is a separate from this.
No, and I understand that. I mean, we're a much smaller community. I mean, I understand there's a difference, but I just wanted to clarify where where we are.
Well, I
Thank
mean,
you.
as far as what we try to offer our customers, I don't really care how small the community is. You guys need good internet. So we're gonna do the best we can to provide that. Whether it be to the county itself or to individual customers in that county.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other
Yeah.
question? All right, thank you very much.
All right, thanks.
Laura Duval, Lander County Assessor, the record.
Leslie Bunch, Lander County Recorder for the record.
First and foremost, I'm a firm believer if it isn't broke, don't fix it. I know that Brian and I respect that, you have a personal account for internet service with your home. That's totally different from what we do here at the courthouse. I can't tell you the countless times over the last several years that we've had issues that I can call the company we're with, PC Internet, in the middle of the night, on the weekends. I get response immediately. It's been impeccable service. And then the other issue is you save a little bit of money, but I did some estimates on what it would cost to change over for the courthouse. It could be anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000 because we have a lot of different servers. They have IP addresses. That all changes. Once those IP addresses change, it blows out everything. So we will have to put in tickets to Quest, who manages our service. It's not an instant thing. It's not an overnight thing. It's a lot of troubleshooting because there's so much security and firewalls involved. We have connection with the court view, the election system, our web interface, my cloud backup on the AS400 server. We have 7 servers in there. We have Tyler. Tyler's very difficult to get in touch with and to get responses from because obviously they're a big company that deal with a lot of businesses and a lot of clients, and it takes a long time to get those things fixed. DMV spent, literally years trying to get all that worked, and if this changes, it blows out DMV. They could be down for days, weeks, months, maybe forever, who knows. It's not a simple task. There's a lot of things that go into this. Now, as far as somebody's PC at home, that's totally different. They don't have those securities, those firewalls. They don't interact with the DMV system, the veterans exemption system that connects to our AS400. There's so many different components. And I thought Richard was going to be here to kind of go over that and explain that to you guys a little bit, but he must not be available. So you have to consider that this is not just a flip a switch. Now, if the sheriff's office and the South wants to switch to Sky Fiber, I think that's fine. They should have, that choice. I just don't want to switch at this time. This is a new company. I've been here since 1987. I've dealt with new companies. It's an unknown and uncharted territory. All sounds great. And maybe it is. I'm not saying that it's not, but it's new. I would ask and request sincerely that you leave the service at the courthouse. And if the others want to go with Sky Fiber, that's a good test. We'll know in 6 months or a year how it works out, if it does, if it is a good viable service. And this would be something that would take months of planning to switch over and a lot of money to do that because all these companies don't do all these things for free. And so I would like very much to keep the service that we have because that little bit of savings is going to take us 4 years to recover just to make it work. That's a long time, and if you're looking at, not to mention, they say you have to put in a ticket. Do you know tickets make me crazy? I hate tickets, and I know it's the thing of the future. Because I want to call somebody and say, hey, buddy, this isn't working. Can you fix it? I can do that with this company. I won't be able to do that with the other one. And we already deal with that with Quest. We deal with that with a lot of different companies, and I know it's the thing of the future and it's where we're at, but I don't like it.
But it's a service point that you speak of too.
Yeah.
It is a point of service. That was my whole
But
point.
most of them you can't call them. You got to type it and try to explain it in an email. You know how much easier it is to say, hey, this is what's going on, than to try to type it all in, and then you'll get a response back that says we need more clarification, we need more information. It's like, just call me, let me call you. That to me is just something that is worth a lot. So I just really wish that you would, look at the big picture because I have lived and breathed this. for a lot of years. And I know what it's like when things are down and there's nobody out there and you can't, get a hold of them. And you gotta wait for a service call. I've always had to do that with IBM, although they do talk on the phone. I can still call them to place a service call. And they do respond that way still. But this is new, this is unknown. We don't know how well it's gonna work, so let the other entities go ahead and be the guinea pigs, if you will. But please leave the courthouse alone, because I'd hate for the Tyler system to be down, they can't do payroll. I don't know if they can do it manually or not. Nope. I guess if they can't and we're down for a long time, nobody gets paid. I mean, this is a big deal. So please, I respectfully request that you just approve the contract with PC for the courthouse. The other, I don't have any concern about the other departments. It's not my business. That's theirs. And if they want to switch, I'm supportive of that. Leslie.
She probably hit every nail on the head. But for myself, working with DMV, it's not what they offer. It's not what these individuals offer. It's what we have all set up and is functioning. We've waited 2 years to get one thing functioning. It's not this side that we have a lot of the issues with. It's the other sides that we work with, finding the individuals that can do the job to get it hooked up. It's getting everything up and operational from the other side, not from our side necessarily. Getting everything changed so we can read into their product and back to ours. I'm asking also the same thing, to please leave the administration alone for now. Please. It's just a horrendous effort to change everything. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, no.
We just had a short response.
I apologize, Bradley Thompson, back up here again from Sky Fiber. From the engineering side, I just wanted to be able to placate a little bit of some of the concerns that go on there. We're definitely never going to switch something over that's going to keep you down for any length of time, because nobody can do that anywhere. Not just from a government perspective, but from private business, even residents anymore can't be down for that kind of length of time. From the IP address standpoint, there's a couple of options. Some that I would recommend personally, some that's from a professional standpoint, things like that. And we're definitely willing to not just help, but show up on site and physically come in and help to mitigate that and bring it in and the transitionary period that comes along with that, whether that means both circuits up at the same time, or getting your own private IP or your own public block of IP so that you never deal with this again, which would be my normal recommendation. Pick up an AS number and then get your own block of IP. So literally, no matter who you go with, whether it's us or if you go to AT&T Direct or any of the other providers that are out there, you'd be able to actually transition over without that other time frame, because your IP addresses would never change again.
What I wanted to speak to is we currently serve 4 other counties, Story, Eureka, Lyon, and Pershing County. And we serve 3 different DMVs and multiple NDOT locations. So they have the same requirements of uptime and response time that you guys would get. And we've done these transitions all over the state. And like you said, it's the best. If you are going to transition anything, owning your own block of IP addresses is phenomenal, because then you can shop anytime you want whenever a contract comes to an end, and you're not affected. And it sounds like the fear of switching IP addresses is daunting, but we have a network team who will show up and help you with that transfer from whatever carrier you have to another. We've done that in multiple different counties. It's worked well, and we've been around for 15 years. It's not like we're a brand new company. Yes, we're fairly new in this town, but Sky Fiber has been operating as a provider for 15 years, and it's just recently we have accessed fiber from multiple carriers in each town. So when AT&T goes down, we have a way of keeping things up, and that's what we want to achieve here. We've already achieved that in Elko, Winnemucca, and we're looking in Lovelock right now. So we try to dual hone everything so you have connectivity, and we would really recommend helping you out getting your own block of IP addresses so you're not married to any one system anymore.
Yeah, I have personal experience in the company switching away from a leased block to an owned block, 6 times the size of what the county's using across our entire network. I know the pains. Believe me, I know the pains, but we're here to help, and we want to make sure that you guys take control of your own network back, so that those decisions are on you and not placated on that pedestal that you're trapped inside because you don't own those IP addresses. We'd love to help you get free of that so that you can make your own decisions.
Commissioner Sparks asked the other on the residential speeds, so I'm going to ask on the Austin speeds, what do you think that we might be able to look at for just residential?
The standard packages are 50 meg down and 25 meg down, depending on whether or not you have direct line of sight versus needing a near line of sight on something like an LTE.
So you come in
service.
at one price, and if we want it higher, we pay more, is that it?
Correct.
Okay, so the base is, what, 5?
15. Our base is typically, we'll go as low as 10 if it's requested, but our base is typically 25 and then goes 50. So our 2 packages on standard internet is 25 and 50 megs.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Real quick, could you guys touch on the price that Laura had referred to for the switching? I know that you guys talked about how easy it is to switch over, but I didn't hear much on the cost that would cost.
So from our standpoint, we're not going to charge for that. We just come and help because we do. But from a cost, if you were going to purchase a block, the last time I looked, it was roughly $5,000 to purchase a block. I don't know what the cost is to get your own AS number if you don't have one already. I can look it up though, but it's definitely less than that 20,000. Now, that doesn't include, to her point, is if you have to contact a third party from a vendor's perspective or a website that you need to move over and move those IP addresses. If there's a cost associated there, there's going to be something different that's there. But from owning that standpoint, it's $5,000 typically to buy a /24 or a Class C, which is 255 IP addresses.
And you don't pay again after that?
You own them.
And basically, right now the county's paying almost $1,200 a month just for IP addresses through the carrier they currently have.
Holy.
And
these are an asset. They go up in value.
So if you
just over
own
time.
them, you could, and you don't use them all, you could actually sell them off in the future because they're becoming very valuable. IP addresses are. So we always recommend any municipality own your own. Then you could switch vendors on the fly and have it not affected the same way it is.
Right. It's definitely not one of those. It's not that I couldn't lease you those IP addresses or that I wouldn't want to. If I was doing it personally, I'd recommend taking control of your own network back so that you never have to deal with it again.
So I have a question, Laura, is that possible for them that we can buy our IP addresses? Is that something that can be done through this company as well?
Well, that's one issue. My concern is we have a managed systems request, so the cost I'm talking about is, they're not authorized through Quest. And so that's where the cost comes in because we have to put in tickets for each and every component for them to open up the firewalls, change the IP addresses. We also have the Tyler system, my GSA that's coming on board, our web interface, which is through, just went blank, but anyway, our AS400, there's a lot of different components that have security. We don't just give somebody authorization. I don't know these people. And it takes a long time to get through all that process. So the cost I'm talking about, and yes, that's an option. We've not had an issue with, or a concern with that until that, so paying $5,000 is one component. That's separate from everything else. The downtime, the amount of time it takes all these different entities that we work with, that we connect to, that everything connects to, takes a long time to put all in. And right now, I'm in the middle of closing a tax roll. I can't have the system down, and even for a minute or a day, let alone for weeks. It's not an easy task. Yes, I know that they've done this in other places, but this is something that would have to be scheduled, planned well in advance. I don't know if you can put in tickets ahead of time. I think you can probably, but it's going to take a lot. And I'm just asking you to please not do that right now. Like I said, it isn't broke. Don't fix it. And in reverse, it's fixed. Don't break it. And so, like I said, if the other entities want to switch at this time, I think that's great. Then it gives us an opportunity for them to come back and say, hey, this worked really good. It was pretty, but they don't have the kind of connectivity that we have and all the different components that and the different agencies that we have to, that have to link to us, and they are very secure and firewall. And it's not just a simple flip a switch. So I'm again asking you, please consider administration and,
So,
what it would entail, because it's a lot more than what's on the surface.
so
I've lived it.
we own a block for 5,000 and it becomes a hard asset, it appreciates, it becomes valuable. Right now, we're paying $14,400 a year to lease our IP address, is that correct?
No, that's incorrect.
So I was told it was, I thought you had said, not you, but you, that it was, that we're paying, or somebody said that we're paying $1,200 a month?
No,
to
we're
rent?
not.
What are we paying?
That's for the service.
That's for the internet service, that's the same as their $850 service, that has nothing to do with the IP address.
Oh, so didn't you make a comment about?
I did.
Oh, yes.
I did, and
So
these,
could-
I was, been trying to get a straight answer for the longest time, how many IP addresses and what the cost is. Right now, you have a Class C, IP address, block, and the standard cost on something like that is between $900 and $1,200 monthly to have something like that, from a carrier.
Are we paying that?
We don't bill for the IP
No,
addresses.
we don't.
Pardon?
We don't pay for
We don't
any
bill
of
for
it.
the IP addresses, just for the service.
Okay.
We're
So
not
the
paying
only,
for IP addresses.
my primary recommendation with that is even if you stayed, like I said, from a personal standpoint, even if Sky Fiber isn't selected, I'd recommend picking it up just that you never have to worry about it again. And it can be done over time, because it's a matter of establishing that ahead of time, and then it's just transitioning the IP over.
That's actually, is a very good idea.
It really is. I agree.
I agree 100%. And to
Thank you.
get an ASN number, which gives you the ability to move your IP blocks around onto different circuits, it's about $500, and I
Yeah.
think the yearly fee, if I remember right, it's either $250 or $500 a year.
It's something like that. It's a small price in order to bring back and own that network for yourself. So again, even if you don't choose Sky Fiber, it's a recommendation from myself.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I would also very much like to hear from our sheriff's department, Robert Quick, for his input. Did you want to take a break first,
You want to take
Kathy, or
Please.
are we
Yeah, can we
okay?
take a 10-minute break, please? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This conference is no longer being recorded. Will now be recorded. Unmuted.
Robert, you can go ahead.
Good morning, Commissioners. Robert Quick for the Sheriff's Office. So I was asked to speak for our thoughts on this matter. And just so, for transparency's sake, I've personally recently switched from AT&T DSL at my home to Sky Fiber. So that's just for transparency's sake. When it comes to this for the Sheriff's Office, both here and in Austin, bottom line is we have no opinion one way or another. Which way we have no recommendation for the commissioners which way they want to go. The services are funded directly from the county on this, so they don't come out of our budget right now. However, I do want to give you a little bit of background on how things are set up, because I don't know if you know. So presently you have connections into this building for the courthouse. You have a fiber connection into the sheriff's office next door and one into Austin. The fiber connection in Austin services multiple buildings through a wireless link for the county for internet service, which includes the courthouse down south itself, as well as the fire departments available for that, the senior center, the ambulance service, my understanding soon to be Road and Bridge will be serviced as well down there, all from the county's fiber internet line down there that comes into our building. Up here in Battle Mountain, the fiber line that comes in services the sheriff's office. However, We presently have 12 to 15 connections with other agencies out of our building, other law enforcement agencies, including the state, that we run connections with. Jason mentioned that, him and I have worked when there has been an issue, and that's absolutely correct. We have had no delay in service-related issues when I've called him or Brian on an issue. All those delays that we have had have been AT&T issues, or an individual in Lee that dug up the fiber line for AT&T, and they can't do anything about that. We use, out of the static IP addresses, we also use about 8 of those ourselves for connections to other agencies. So if the county chose to change over, there would be some configuration in that. However, I don't believe a huge drop in service because of the ability to configure before you switch over. And that's a matter of planning with that. My concern, or at least for the commission to consider, is our current service is providing 250 meg pipe to this building, but only 100 megs to the other 2 buildings, and the cost is the same. I would ask, if you're going to consider that and you're going to consider staying with the current carrier, that those speeds be equaled to all buildings if we're paying the same fees. Additionally, if in fact, as the assessor suggested, and I didn't have an opportunity to speak with the assessor or the recorder prior to the meeting, if the commission would like us to do a test bed for the other service provider, we can certainly do that. I have no problems in doing that as well. My intent, because the 2 service providers actually provide their service through a different backbone. PC Connection is an AT&T service, and Sky Fiber uses a separate carrier. We actually intend, regardless of which way the county decides to go, we'll end up using both services as a redundancy for our criminal justice information systems. Because currently, when the service does go down, we lose that ability. And unfortunately, when somebody cuts the AT&T line currently, we lose it for an extended period of time. So our plan already is to utilize both services in some form or fashion as a redundancy. But if the commission would like us to test a secondary service, we certainly can do that. That's all I have, unless you have questions for me.
So just as a clarification then, if we left everything in Battle Mountain with PC and we put everything in Austin with Sky Fiber, that wouldn't make any difference basically to what you're doing right now and present any problems?
Realistically, either way, whether you left just the courthouse and took both sheriff's office buildings or one of them, it wouldn't matter either way. The pre-planning and the planning and things like that would all be the same. It would affect services, but not to the point where it would down services. Because of the planning that would be involved, we would have everything set up prior to switching over and have everything in place before we switch over. I did speak to the recorder because there's a DMV in Austin, and so that would take some extra effort and configuration with the state, but I have a good working relationship with the state IT, and although it would take some time, we wouldn't physically switch that connection over until that is set up and ready to go.
Sure.
And then once it is, we would switch it, test it, and make sure it works before we disconnect the other service.
No, I understand the makings of moving, but I wondered if it made any difference then if you were on one with the sheriff's office here and you're on the other one with the sheriff's office down there. Wouldn't?
None whatsoever, because
Okay.
we would require static IPs. So if the commission chose to buy that block of static, that I also would recommend you do. Because right now we're leasing a section through our current carrier of IPs. But we would just recreate the connections. So no, it's just a configuration issue.
Thank you.
Sorry, one last thing, I apologize. But to his point, I have that same recommendation with the static IPs. If you do that and he wants to use both carriers at the same time, that's one of the only ways to accomplish that without having the tunnels or the connectivity that goes between those static IPs going down when one of those is an outage. So, random caveat is even if you wanted multiple providers, if you have your own block, you can run that BGP connection with both of them and keep one up versus the other or load balance them. So, thank you.
And I really appreciate the suggestion, and I think it's a great idea, and that's something I'm going to check into for the future, is probably purchasing that block, because I agree with all these gentlemen that that is definitely a way to go in the future. But, you know, it's something to plan for, so that's something I will look into and pay for out of my tech card.
Awesome,
Okay?
thank you.
Ted, how, on a contract like this, how long would you suggest it?
Well,
So we can come up with some kind of,
if you guys want to do a comparison and contrast, I would suggest you do a 2-year contract with both services, one for the courthouse and maybe Sky Fiber for the other two, and have a 2-year contract for each. And also in the motion, you can put that we want to buy our own IP block, and put in the motion 2 years contract and a compare and contrast in 2 years, and we'll revisit it again. That's what I would suggest.
because what I'm hearing is some services that one group can provide are gonna help one person.
Right.
And,
Well, you'll know for sure in 2 years. Right.
yeah,
That's how I look at it.
well, let me try this. I make a motion that we,
Sorry, just, Robert Quick for the Sheriff's Office, just a question to probably the two providers. If it's a possibility, if the county's gonna buy their block of IPs, can they buy the existing blocks?
Unfortunately, no.
So,
Good thinking, though.
Yeah, AT&T doesn't like selling
okay,
theirs.
Yeah,
let me
AT&T
try
won't
this.
sell it.
I make a motion that we approve internet service for Austin and the Sheriff's Office with Sky and the courthouse with Performance Computing. We'll do this for two years, and we will buy the existing IP,
No, we will buy a new block of IP addresses.
we'll buy a new block of IP addresses. And this is a 2-year contract with,
Both.
this would be a 2-year contract with the 30-day in and out?
Yeah, all our
Okay,
contracts like
okay.
that.
That's
And
my motion.
usually for, there is a caveat, for equipment and contracts with, internet, I give them a 60-day, because they need a little more time
Okay. yeah.
to get their equipment and get another place to put their equipment. So
Okay.
I'd suggest a 60-day out.
And can I recommend that Laura be in charge of the block purchasing and the IP address switchover, because I think that she's probably most familiar. with
Doesn't Laura usually give us that money?
Well, she grants out of her tech fund, but
Right,
she's
right.
familiar with the
Okay.
block and the switchover to make sure that it doesn't
And
interfere
I'll
with
add
what
to
she
my
does.
motion that Laura be in charge of the purchase of the new block of IP addresses.
I'll second
Okay,
the motion.
I would like a clarification on this. In your motion, you're taking the sheriff's department from Battle Mountain and Austin and moving them both to Sky Fiber? Because we were discussing having all of Battle Mountain stay with PC and then the southern part. So I want to clarify what you wanted.
Robert Quick for the Sheriff's Office. Again, we have no opinion either way, and we'll do it either way you'd like.
Okay,
We
but
can take one or both. For us, it doesn't really matter.
Great.
I have one more question. You heard my motion. Should I modify it so that you can get both services? Would that be better for the sheriff's office?
It absolutely would. We intend to do that anyway, and one of them would be for backup for our criminal justice system. So if that could be your motion, that would be an
Okay,
exception.
I'm gonna
for us.
modify my motion so that PC, Performance, and Sky can work for the sheriff's office.
So we would have PC on all three and Sky on 2 of them.
Right, and we have a 2-year contract, and we can compare and contrast
Right.
which services benefit Lander County the best.
And a 60D out, and Laura would be in
Right.
charge of the new
Right,
IP address
right.
purchase.
Can I clarify, we're going to now pay for two services instead of just one?
He was going to have both anyway for the backup for the criminal justice system. He was going to need to
Okay.
have both because of that criminal justice system going
Not for the courthouse.
Right, okay, so he's gonna double his cost for the sheriff's office only, or here and Austin, Robert?
Here in Austin, according to that motion.
Cause wouldn't that have to be, that'd have to be budgeted for?
Well, it would have to be, but we don't have a current contract
Right,
in
okay.
place, so
Is that what you're
it would have to
understanding?
be
You're gonna pay
budgeted for
both? You're gonna
regardless.
pay $18.50 a month then, is that correct?
Robert Quick for the sheriff's office, we don't directly pay for the internet service now, so this would have to be worked out with this county manager and how that's gonna be managed. However, with budgetary issues, we can have the redundancy only in the main office, and that would work for us. So, because, and the reasons behind it is, it's two different paths. for
Right,
the
right, well, I
fathership.
understand what.
So that cost will have to be worked with the county manager because it's not coming out of our budget directly.
I just wanted to make sure they understood that they're gonna go from paying $1,000 a month to $18.50 a month for two different entities. Cause we don't need that here, just the
Right.
one service.
Right, correct.
So I just wanna make sure that was clear, cause in the beginning Brian said he wanted to cut some costs, but now we're adding.
Robert just made a little mention in his delivery that if we had both for the sheriff's office, that would be an advantage. As long as we have the
Oh,
money,
yeah, sure,
the sheriff's office gets what they need.
okay. I just wanna make sure it was clear, that's all.
We
Thank
got a
you.
motion and a second?
Second, Brian second. So Art made the motion, Brian second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good luck.
Tim Holland's here.
Well, did you want Anna first for buildings?
Yes.
You, Tim? So,
Thank you.
all right, so for discussion and possible action to approve or disapprove the service agreement with Premier Elevator Company for the Lander County Administration Building in the amount not to exceed $2,880 per year and authorize the chair to sign.
Anna Panola with the building department. I'd like to go with this company. We were with Schindler, but we just weren't getting the service that they said they were gonna provide.
Okay. Any objection?
It's our standard,
Pardon me?
Yes, I have looked at the contract.
Okay.
and it's our standard 2-year contract. I'll make a motion that we approve this service agreement with Premier Elevator Company for Lander County Administration Building in the amount not to exceed $2,880 per year and authorize the chair to sign.
A second? All right, Patsy made the motion, Art second, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, we'll go back to number 3 for.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, LP Insurance. Hello.
Hello, Tim Holland with LP Insurance Services.
There you go.
Morning, Tim.
So, update only regarding our current, county, health insurance and life insurance and coverage provided for any COVID-19 vaccine complications and or death.
Yes, there is coverage. There's no pandemic clause in this. It would paid at the $20,000 if there's any type of death occurring from a COVID vaccine. COVID itself, if you didn't get vaccinated, you did get vaccinated, the benefit will be paid out to the beneficiary of the employee. Adding to this a little bit, there's 2 parts to your life insurance. There is life insurance, then you have what's called accidental death and dismemberment. So the insurance policy pays double if you were to pass during an accident. This would not be considered an accident, so it would be the one benefit. The only time that This policy will not pay out is if you have criminal activity or some examples I've had during my career. Guy in meth tried to jump a fire, didn't make it.
What?
He was on meth and he tried to jump a fire and he didn't make it. So
Yeah, he didn't get paid.
he didn't get paid. Another one, drunk driving fatality. They actually had to wait till the medical examiner provided the cause of death on the death certificate, and that did not pay out because of basically breaking the law. But again, for this, we're in open enrollment right now, so I encourage everybody to update their beneficiaries. So if something does happen, they do get paid out, but there is absolutely no clause that would say for a COVID-related death that it would not be paid out.
So that means vaccine.
That means vaccine, yeah.
If you take the jab and you die, within a year, you'll pay out.
Absolutely. Okay. And I have that in writing. I will happily give it to all of you. From Kyle C., who's our Anthem specialty sales executive. I will get that to Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thanks, Tim.
much.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna move ahead to, number 12, and then we'll go back to 11. So, for discussion and possible action, to consider the sale of property parcel 010-430-32 from Lander County to H.E. Honeywell Construction or Company Incorporated, RBF, excavating, and if the county finds that it is in the best interest of Lander County to do so, then to request the district attorney's office to prepare the resolution and proceed with all necessary steps required by NRS 244.281.
So just everybody knows, this is the property that's right behind the gravel pit that you're in now currently, right?
Yes.
Right back there.
That's South 305, off on the right hand side.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in the very beginning, I thought it was going to be a swap, and now I understand it's a sale. So what,
No, that's how they put it in their request form, there's no swap here.
there's
It's a
no
sale.
swap, there's, okay,
This is a sale,
all right, just a straight sale, okay.
yes. That's why I put on the agenda sale of property. But they put down in their agenda request form, a land transfer. Well, technically, to sell the property, you transfer land. I think that's what they were thinking.
Okay, because
I know.
I thought it was a little bit confusing, and I wanted a clarification, thank you.
That's why I straightened it out in the agenda.
How do we determine the amount of the property? Is it through appraisal?
Appraisals.
I have a cheat sheet.
Okay.
It's in your background, or backup material. And after the statutes, it starts with NRS 244.281. Yeah, it says first steps and second step. This is what we have to do to sell property. And you have to first determine that it is in the best interest of Lander County to proceed with this sale. That's what I'm asking you to do today. And you, at that same time, ask the district attorney's office if they would do up a resolution to that effect. Because the second step is appraisal. And to appraise the company, we have to first publish. We have to post the resolution and publish in paper for 3 weeks. That pursuant to our resolution, we are going to sell this piece of property, and it has a value of over $1,000. And then we get after that's done, we get an appraisal, and this is what you have to decide today, or you can decide next time when the resolution comes in front of you. But you will have to decide at some point whether you want 2 separate appraisals or one appraisal and have a public meeting. If you have a public hearing on that one appraisal, you don't have to have 2 appraisals. If you don't want to have a public hearing, then you just ask for 2 appraisals from 2 separate appraisals. That will be up to you.
So if it's just a piece of property, we don't have to go with a commercial appraisal. We can go with a residential appraisal, right, which is a lot less expensive.
Yes,
Okay. And then that puts it on the tax rolls, right?
yes. So those are the things, you need to consider 3 or 4 different things today.
So I guess the first question is there something that we wanted to use that property for that would be a reason to keep it? And if not, then we consider it's in the best interest to sell it.
Yeah, I think it's the best interest. Are you guys going to expand the gravel pit?
Yes, sir. That one.
I'm Frank Sullivan with RBF Excavating. That piece of property is also landlocked.
I was
There's
gonna
no
ask if
access to the
okay,
property.
good.
So I just wanted to get that clarified. And we appreciate your time in this matter. Thank you.
Frank, you understand this is a kind of long process?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
That's why we're trying to get it.
You started.
Yeah, no, we understand.
Okay,
We're not time to.
okay, good.
Well, I make a motion that we sell the property, parcel number 010-430-32 from Lander County to H.E. Honeywell Construction Company, Inc., RBF Excavating, and run this through the district attorney's office and according to NRS.
For a resolution.
For resolution according to NRS 244.281.
And that you find that the sale of this property is in the best interest of Lander
The sale of
County.
this
That's the
property
most
is-
important part of it.
Right, is in the best interest of Lander County.
Thank you.
I'll second the motion.
All right, Art made the motion and Brian second, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you for your time in this.
Good luck.
So we're moving back to 11, for discussion and possible action to approve, disapprove the bid award for Cape Seal Project PWP number LA 2021-200 for 1 Sierra Nevada Construction Incorporated base bid $719,007 recommended for acceptance, and BSS International base bid for $747,120. You're on, sir.
Hi, Don Prince, Public Works. I got Aaron Martinez with AM Engineering. And this is a Cape Seal project down in Kingston and Gilman Springs.
Good afternoon again, Commissioners. So this item was previously agenda and you tabled it due to some posting issues. So this is being brought back out in front of you today. In your packet, you will see our recommendation for award for Sierra Nevada Construction for $719,007. As Mr. Prince said, this is for the Gilman and Kingston area Cape Seal project.
So my question is, since we couldn't get it approved when it was supposed to be, how does that delay the company that's getting the contract? What is their starting date? Because
Thank you,
I
Commissioner
know they
Rachel.
were going to start earlier.
Such a pertinent question. Thank you so much. If you could please, in your approval, if you could just give the county Public Works Department authorization to issue the notice to proceed at in today or in a week from now, because right now our notice to proceed was kind of issued at that time, and so if we could give the contractor a little more contract days, I think that would be appropriate.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we award the bid to Sierra Nevada Construction Incorporated with a base bid not to exceed $719,007, and that we authorize our Public Works Director to give a notice and to proceed immediately to the company.
I'll second.
All right, Patsy made the motion, Brian second, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Very good, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right, moving forward. For discussion and possible action to approve, disapprove the interlocal contract between Lander County Recorder and Nevada Department of Motor Vehicles and authorize the recorder to sign.
Leslie Bunch, Lander County Recorder. Do you guys have any questions? It's the same, the contract has gone through RDA, and it's just the same that we continually basically do every 2 years. However, the chair has to sign as well.
I'll make a motion that we authorize the interlocal contract between the Lander County Recorder and the Nevada Department of Motor Vehicles, and authorize the recorder and our chair to sign.
All right, second?
Second.
All right, Patsy made the motion and Art second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very good, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, very good. Okay, very good. Okay, thank you. All right. Lander County Assessor updated regarding the Lander County tax rates and all other matters properly related thereto.
Laura Duval, Lander County Assessor. I'm kind of on the fly on this presentation, but I do have some information for you. First of all, wanted to give you guys, I don't know if you've ever seen this, maybe you have or haven't, but it's called Understanding Nevada's Property Tax System. This publication was in 15-16. They're working on a new update here soon, but they don't update it every year. It's every so many years, but basically not anything has changed. So. See how many I have here. And it's just something for you to read, you know, at your leisure or when you have insomnia.
Yeah.
Because property valuation and taxation is kind of boring.
Thank you.
Thanks, Laura.
A couple of things I'd like to go over. There's some misconceptions perhaps about how things work. My job as the county assessor is very specific by statute. It's very black and white. All 17 counties value property exactly the same. It's replacement cost new less statutory depreciation. Statutory depreciation is 1.5% per year, down to a 25% residual. We get inquiries a lot asking why there's differences in people's property taxes. And the best example I have is the old marble house across the tracks. It's like almost 4,000 square feet. It's a beautiful home. They pay less in taxes than I do on my 1992 mobile home on 5 acres on Hilltop. And the reason is because of the depreciation and the way that we value properties. It's been looked at numerous times by legislature. There's been a lot of different proposals out there, what I call a modified Prop 13, which is what happened in California, where they reset the value based on the sales price. So they've tried that a few times. It's never made it through legislation, which we've always, kind of lobbied against that because it's so convoluted, and that's why a lot of people left California. So it is the structure that we've had since the tax shift of 1982. We're the only state in the entire United States that has solely a cost approach to value. The only thing that is market is land. Now, the difference between county to county, and we do everything exactly the same, and the reason some of the larger counties and some other counties taxes are higher is because their land values are way higher than ours. A good example is a 6,000 square foot lot in Reno, and these are just hypothetical numbers. It's probably worth $100,000 and $150,000. Here, it's $15,000 to $20,000. So that's a big difference. We have much lower land values in the rural locations than you do in the cities, and that's driven by the market because as the sale prices go up, that causes the land values to go up. We analyze and evaluate land values every year. We have had some increases. We have a few more here recently. That does affect, the land values, but nothing close to what some of the bigger cities and even Winnemucca has got quite a bit of a higher land valuation than what we do here. And likewise, Eureka, Pershing, our smaller rural counties have typically lower land values because we don't have, the kind of development and growth that some of these other communities, and the demand. It's a big demand factor. So that might kind of answer some questions as to why there's differences, because we get that a lot. So I just wanted that to be on the record, that is the differences. Everything we do is exactly the same. It's just the land values are different. Tax rates are different in different counties. Now, the cap rate is $3.64. We are kind of a high tax rate. We're at $3.35, or $3.35, yeah, per $100 of assessed value. Whereas Eureka is a little over $2. I believe Winnemucca is about $2.80, $2.90. So they have a lower general tax rate than we do. So that makes a difference as well. You guys are in control of the tax rates, and you set the tax rates. And I met with Bert and with Ted, and we went over some different scenarios that Tom Gransberry had presented, that if the county commissioners have the desire to lower the tax rate by maybe 20 cents, it would probably lower everybody's taxes, the total amount in the year, about $336,000, I believe it was. But the offset of that is net proceeds of mines, and we get a lot of money from net proceeds, as everyone knows. And we're very grateful for that. The net proceeds rate is by Constitution $5. So the difference is they pay $5. Each county that has mining and gets net proceeds, they get the amount of that, whatever their general tax rate is, or whatever their tax rate is for the district that mine is in. So for us, they're all in the $3.35. The difference goes to the state. So if we lowered our tax rate by 20 cents, we would be giving the state, yeah,
So just
of net proceeds.
yeah. So just to simplify that, for every cent we lower the tax rate, as long as we're receiving net proceeds, we give the state $66,000.
That is correct.
For every cent.
For every 1
penny,
cent,
yes.
we would give the state $66,000.
Yes. On net proceeds only. Net proceeds only, not our ad
Only on the
valorem.
net proceeds, and that's so that we're talking two different taxes, which make this very confusing. So I just want to make sure that we're talking about one tax, which is if we lower the tax while we're receiving net proceeds, how the state penalizes us and takes additional money out of our net proceeds that we would normally be receiving.
So it's not penalized, it's just what statutory.
Yes,
is.
statutory.
Yeah.
I use the word penalized, but
The mine is gonna pay
statutory.
exactly the same, and it just depends whether we get it or the state gets
Or we
it.
give more to the state.
So if we wanted to issue or give a tax break to Lander County taxpayers, we could skin a cat a different way.
Yes,
Right, okay.
Okay,
and the state would not
That's right.
benefit.
That's right.
correct. So, and that probably makes sense why the commissioners, over the last 10 or 15 years, have not lowered the tax rate, because they did understand that, yeah, you'll give a break to the taxpayers, but you're gonna give a lot more of our funds to the state because of the way the structure works. Okay, there's one other component I wanted to go over. I know you guys are busy and have a lot on the agenda, and that is the tax cap. So the tax cap has been in place since 2006, and what it basically is, and it's a very convoluted method, but the Department of Taxation analyzes the tax caps and they change every year, or in some cases stay the same. What it is a 10-year rolling average of new construction, development, and growth. So forever, since just up to 3 years ago, the general rate tax cap was 8%. And that's because we had a lot of new construction, development, and growth. Now, understand that most of that came from the mines. The mines is what caused that to occur. So over the last few years, the mines have consolidated, they merged, they have not been doing near as much. So now that rolling average has gone way down, and our tax cap 3 years ago went from, our general rate, from 8 down to 7.2. Last year, it dropped clear down to 3.6, and this year, it's at 2.4. Let me explain what that means. So the abatement cap for owner-occupied properties and rental properties that fall below the HUD rent rates, they have always gotten a 3% cap. That's always there, because that's what the statute is. It's either 8% or 3%. 8% on non-owner occupied, which is all your businesses, vacant lands, income properties, the mines, all of them were at the 8% cap. Well, what's happened now is because we don't have that development growth and we don't have that new construction like we've had in the past, and again, it's because of the mining. We've got new houses coming in that's gonna help, and we've got this new truck stop that might help a bit. In fact, I think it will. Next year, we might see a little bit of a change. It might go up a little bit as this stuff comes on board, although it is still a 10-year rolling average. So it may take a couple years of some things going up before that cap goes up. So what this means is, I'm raising land values, and as everyone knows, construction costs are through the roof. which means, and there's a lag time with Marshall and Swift, the costing manual that we use by statute to cost everything. So there's a lag time. It takes quite a while before those numbers start going up in Marshall and Swift. So they will be going up, and I've already seen in next year's manual they are going up. So that means as those replacement costs goes up, your value goes up, your land goes up, it doesn't matter. It can go up 100,000, but you're only going to pay 2.4 cents more on your tax bill, unless you've built something, you have new construction. New construction is outside the cap for that 1 year. In the next year, it gets combined and then it's capped. But, so that means that all these businesses, mines, they're gonna pay a maximum of 2.4% above their, a tax increase of 2.4%, whereas before they would have paid 8%. And so in a way, that's gonna kind of help the taxpayers, even though you're not lowering the tax rate, that cap. At first I was really concerned, I thought, oh my gosh. But in a sense, since the county's doing pretty well, that's kind of a good thing, because with these these construction costs going up and up and up, this is gonna help buffer that. And like I said, I think that our cap, it's gonna take a while before it starts to go back up, and so I'm hopeful that by the time it does still go up, maybe some of these costs, these construction costs are gonna go down a little bit. I mean, we're all praying for that. I know if you've gone to Home Depot recently and paid for a piece of that wooden gold. But, so it's a good thing. Now, consequently, because the general cap cannot be lower than the owner-occupant cap, that also lowered to 2.4%. Honestly, it could go down to 1 or to even 0. It is possible. It hasn't happened yet, but it is possible. I don't anticipate that, but for this year, we're capped at 2.4%, so that's a lot more. If you look at the difference between 2.4 and 8%, that's a lot more than 10 or 20 cents off the tax rate it's going to do for them, because they're now capped at that, and their taxes can't go up more than that. So that means less revenue for the county, but it means less taxes for all the taxpayers in Lander County, everyone, businesses, mines, vacant land, property owners, everything. All properties are now capped equally at 2.4%. So it doesn't matter how much that land goes up or those replacement costs goes up. It's capped at 2.4%. So, like I said, in a way, that's kind of a good thing at a time when otherwise, it would be going up a lot more. So that's kind of where we're at. I talked to the state. It looks like, until some of these things and until the mines maybe start doing more and we start, that truck stop goes in, we've got some other things in the works, and that might start going up a little bit, but it's gonna take a while to factor into that 10-year rolling average. So we may have some lower caps for a while. Yay for the taxpayers, because it benefits them. The county gets a little less revenue, but it benefits the taxpayers a lot more than if you lowered the tax rate and gave more money to the state on the net proceeds portion of that. Okay, does anyone have any questions that I might be able to answer?
No, everything's perfectly clear when it comes to taxes.
They gotta pay them, and they're always going up.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And if you get a chance, read the publication. It's not real lengthy, but it might answer some questions that you went, oh, okay, that makes sense now, that you didn't quite understand. It's a pretty good publication. The Nevada Taxpayers Association puts this out, okay?
So,
Thank you.
and Lakin just pointed out something that I should bring your guys' attention is that if we do drop the tax, that other entities can pick that up. It's another step in the whole process, and I think there's a better way to get money back to our taxpayers. The district attorney and myself are working on, we'll probably bring it back before the commission and see what we can do.
When you say other entities, you're talking about the hospital and schools?
Correct.
Correct, yes.
I think that lowering taxes at this time would really be a great move if we can do it.
We can't lower
Everybody's raising taxes. I think
So-
we'd be doing the citizenry a good job.
Yes, so what we're talking about is possibly not lowering taxes, but doing, to be clear, is doing some sort of incentive that after we receive our money, whether it be net proceeds or tax money in any shape or form, possibly reallocating some of it to our citizens for improvements and different things of that nature that we're researching right now. And it would be the same as a tax break, but we would not be giving money back to the state.
That sounds great.
Thanks, Laura.
Thank you.
All right, moving forward. Our discussion and possible action to approve, disapprove a parcel map application for Danny and Grace Kemp, combining 6 parcels into one located on Carson Court, Kingston, APN 003-063-05, 003-063-06, 003-063-07, 003-063-08, portion of 003-063-16, and 006-063-40, creating one 4.96 acreage parcel zoned R1. This request was approved by the Planning Commission on April 21st, 2021 with the following conditions. The signatures of the utility companies being fixed before signature of the chairman, and authorize the chair to sign after the utility companies approved and signatures.
Good morning, Grace.
Good morning.
Morning, Grace.
So we're waiting on approval of the utilities company?
The Planning Commission approved it upon the signatures of the utility company, and I took the map to Reno and had Nevada Energy and AT&T sign 2 weeks ago, I believe.
So it's
And
already
then
been signed?
they had to sign the Mylar, each of the utility companies, and you have to go on a Wednesday, anyway, you don't need to know all that. The map has been signed, I believe John Williams signed it. He wouldn't sign it until I got the utility companies to sign it. And then the next process is have the commission approve it.
So Grace, actually, there isn't anybody else that even lives on Kaysen, is there?
No, it's just our little road.
So you're gonna come before us later and change the name, is that?
Well, I asked Danny about that, I honestly did, but no, we'll leave it Kaysen.
Okay, but the Mylar's all ready to sign.
I believe it is. I gave it to Kyla last week to make sure she had it for the commission.
Okay.
Do you want me to- Is it all good?
Yeah, it's all signed, John
Okay.
signed
it. Okay. Yeah, so it's just ready for you guys now.
Okay, I will make a motion that we approve the parcel map application for Danny and Grace Kemp, combining 6 parcels into one parcel located on Kaysen Court, Kingston, APN 003-06305, 003-06306, 003-06307, 003-06308, and a portion of 003-06316 and 006-06340. It's creating one 4.96 acre parcel zoned R1. This request was approved by the Planning Commission on April 21st, and the conditions have been met of the signatures from the utility companies, AT&T and Nevada Energy. So we authorize the chair to sign the Mylar.
A second.
All right, Patsy made the motion and Brian second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, discussion and possible action to approve or disapprove the renewed membership of the Central Nevada Regional Water Authority for fiscal year 2021-2022 with a $7,500 assessment fee.
I believe we have Jeff Fontaine here to present this. He's the one who pretty much represents it, so.
Well, Jeff, it's been a little while.
Sure has.
I haven't seen you since your days at NACO.
I think the last time I was here, we were talking about indigent defense, so it's a nice change to be back and talk about water. Well, good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners, and for the record, my name's Jeff Fontaine. I serve as the part-time contract executive director of the Central Nevada Regional Water Authority, and I appreciate the opportunity to participate in your meeting this morning, and I'm here to respectfully request your continued membership in the Central Nevada Regional Water Authority for the next fiscal year. Just as an aside, given my past with Nevada Association of Counties, I really enjoyed sitting through your meeting and listening to some of the topics, especially the tax topic, because it is one that just seems very complicated and problematic, but it's nice to hear that you're looking at
being able to have your constituents benefit from the ability to return some tax dollars in some way, shape, or form. So congratulations on that. Lander County was one of the 6 original counties that established the Central Nevada Regional Water Authority back in 2005 to help ensure that there's a long-term supply of reasonably priced water available to support future agricultural, municipal, recreational, industrial uses within the central hydrographic region. And today, the Central Nevada Regional Water Authority has 9 member counties, or all rural counties, and I believe is a strong advocate on behalf of its members on water-related issues. I would say that it's my opinion that now more than ever, Nevada's rural counties need to protect their water resources. As you know, Nevada and most of the West are in severe drought condition, and the growth in our state, particularly in the urban areas, is really stressing local water supplies, and as a result, there seems to be a lot of interest in moving rural agricultural water rights to development in the state's urban areas. So the Nevada legislature is in its final few weeks. I can tell you that in this session there are a number of water-related bills that were very concerning to Central Nevada Regional Water Authority members in other rural counties, and we worked very hard to get them defeated. There were bills brought by the Division of Water Resources to establish water banks, conservation programs that would have facilitated interbasin transfers and I think resulted in the shift of water uses from agricultural use to development in the urban areas, very much to the detriment of rural counties. These bills would have created water markets and facilitated basically interbasin transfers. There was a bill to limit what state engineer decisions can be appealed to the district court, and another bill to change the qualifications of the state engineer by eliminating the requirement of the state engineer to be a licensed professional engineer. These bills were all defeated. I think would have been problematic for rural counties. I can tell you that within the State Division of Water Resources budget, there is something that we were not able to defeat, and that is a significant increase in the assessments levied in those basins that have been designated by the state engineer to the tune of about $600,000 for the next biennium. So it's something that we're very concerned about, and we want to make sure that the state engineer is accountable for how those funds are being used, since they have to be used in those basins where they're levied. So aside from the legislative session, there's going to be a lot going on after the session, and we'll certainly be involved with representing our member counties there. The Division of Water Resources proposed regulations on extensions of time and administrative hearings. We'll be commenting on those. The Nevada Supreme Court has established a commission to study the adjudication of water law cases. And I was appointed by the Chief Justice to represent Central Nevada Regional Water Authority on that commission. And I think that commission is looking at a number of different things, including training of district court judges, but also the possibility of establishing specialized water courts in Nevada. And then lastly, the legislature's Public Lands Committee will be taking up water conservation and other water-related issues during the interim period leading up to the 2023 session. So, you know, there'll be a lot going on. I'm pleased and I'm really proud to say that the Central Nevada Regional Water Authority is a recognized voice for rural Nevada water issues, and I believe highly respected by the legislature, the state engineer, and water interests both from the urban and rural parts of our state. And also, CNRWA members really do support and share information and support one another. I would say that our support for White Pine County and its 3 decades long effort to defeat the Southern Nevada Water Authority's pipeline project is a clear example of that. So the budget for Central Nevada Regional Water Authority for the next fiscal year calls for each authority member county to be assessed $7,500. That amount has not changed since its creation in 2005. And again, we hope that you will continue your membership in the Central Nevada Regional Water Authority for next year. I'm happy to answer any questions about the activities of CNRWA, legislative matters, or any water-related issues that you might have. Again, thank you.
Jeff, I have a question, and maybe I missed it, maybe you already told us, but who are all the other member counties present?
Okay. Sorry, I did overlook that, so, let's see if I can count them and get them all right. I'll do them by alphabetical order. Churchill, Esmeralda, Eureka, Elko. Let's see, Humboldt was the most recent to join. Lander, Pershing, White Pine, and Nye. Is that 9?
And 9.
Okay.
Okay. So they're just all the smaller counties.
It's all the smaller counties, but it's more than.
Well,
half
that's
the
what our
counties, yeah.
intent was, to join up with the smaller counties.
Exactly.
Because if we get the bigger counties involved in organization, then everything will lean in their direction.
So, great question. I can tell you this, just for point of information, Central Hydrographic Region is the largest of the 14 hydrographic basins in the state of Nevada. It covers roughly, 2/3 of the state of Nevada. There are, one of the conditions of being, first of all, in order for a county to be a member, you have to have a portion of your county in the central region, and you have to be invited to join. So right now, the 9 counties are the rural counties. There are some other rural counties that I think we would like to see join as well. So we'll just leave it at that.
Thanks for pointing that out, Ted, because that's the same issue that I had with NACO.
Right,
So yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, we need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the membership to Central Nevada Regional Water Authority for the fiscal year 2021, 2022 with a $7,500 assessment fee.
I'll second the motion.
All right, Patsy made the motion, Brian second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Very
And may
good.
I also say personally,
Thank you.
the authority is so proud of what we have accomplished, I think, this year. Jeff, thank you for all your personal testimony. I mean, it was a tough legislative year with all of these water bills, and we really did do okay, so thank you.
So correspondence, reports, future agenda items.
So I will, one thing that just came in from, is that the Nevada Supreme Court did just rule against the 2019 tax fee increases, saying that they were unconstitutional. So that could potentially have a big effect on what they're gonna do with the mining taxes. Just general information that the Nevada Supreme Court ruled against the 2019 tax increases that they had put in place as unconstitutional.
The 3 resolutions?
No.
They're totally separate.
It's completely separate.
Oh, okay.
2019, they put some tax increases.
Oh, the last one?
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
That have been in court since, and the Nevada Supreme Court just ruled against them, saying that they were unconstitutional. So that could be beneficial to the mineral issue for taxes. I will have a more detailed update on that, but that's important for everybody to know.
I was kind of messed up there for a month with the surgeries, and during budget, I wanted to get $25,000 for a feasibility study on the stock car track, motorcycle track, and the possibility of drag race track. So if we need to have an agenda item on that.
Okay.
I'm really impressed with what Aaron does, because he gets into some really good details. So if he could do that for us, if we would approve that money, I'd like to see Aaron dig into this and see what the possibilities are, because I have a number of people that tell me that there's a lot of interest in having a drag race track on Interstate 80, because so many racers travel back and forth from east to west. And, it's just an opportunity to bring some revenue in here.
So is that something that needs to be brought up during the budget?
We can agendize it, and if we'd like to move some money out of special projects, or we can look at different ways to fund it.
Okay.
And my thought is that we can organize this better if we have some data on the possibilities. That's my thought. We build these facilities if we can generate revenue.
Commissioner, do we need to have a litigation meeting after this, meeting
Okay,
on two different issues?
okay. So then, do we have any further?
And so we wouldn't be closing the meeting, just, you know, we would go and, we can close it. I thought we had to come back after litigation to close it.
It's not agendized.
Okay,
So we just need.
I apologize.
Okay,
So we need to move into public comment.
all right, so public comment. Report.
Hello? Hello?
Hello,
My name is Connie Vaughn, and I live down in Austin, and I also work at the library. And I had thought that the library was going to be on the agenda this month. I know that Bert had said he was going to crunch some numbers, but I'm under the understanding that a decision needs to be made and given to Elko County about whether or not we're going to renew that contract. And I have some concerns that I didn't hear addressed at the last meeting. And I do believe Pat brought it up prior to the last meeting. If we're not going to sign this contract, what are the plans for the library? Because as of June 30th, I will be unemployed. And if we're going to have our own county library, do we have concrete written plans in place for a reopening? I mean, what's the plan? Because all I've heard is we're going to crunch numbers and maybe this and maybe renovate in the courthouse, and I mean.
So, Ms. Connie?
Yes?
It will be an item on the next agenda. The district attorney's office and myself have been in contact with the state library, and Austin, at the end of the day, Austin will not be left without a library. If the commission does choose to go that way, there will be an employee down there. We will advertise for that job, and you're welcome to put in for it at that time. But at the next meeting, we will give an informed update and get direction from the commission to move forward.
Okay, so as it stands, the decision hasn't been made to not sign the contract?
Well, we've not made a solid decision one way or the other with the direction from the commission because we haven't been able to give them the proper information to make an informed decision.
Right. Okay, that's what I understood as well.
Yep. So, like I say, we're still in research.
When is the next meeting?
It will be the 27th.
Of this month?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, well, because my understanding is that Elko has asked for a decision in writing.
Yes, they most certainly have, and we would like to give them one once we have when we can make a good informed decision. But we haven't got the information to our commission to do that yet.
Okay. Well, I will go ahead and write something up with some of my questions and send that to you in an email.
Much appreciated.
Ms. Clark.
Cindy Clark.
Morning, Cindy.
Good morning. I'll be brief, but I just wanted to say something publicly. First of all, I was in Utah yesterday. I went horse shopping, and while I was there, I was in an event center, and I was talking to people that were there, as was Randy, about our patriotic get-together. And I was urging people to come. So here's what I want to do. I want to thank all of you, commissioners, and all of those that help. I want to thank you for allowing us to have a patriotic get-together and for all the patriot things that you have done recently. I'm giving you my standing ovation.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thanks for helping organize this, Cindy. Here comes Amy.
Yes, I can't. Amy Nelson, and as most of you know, my main focus is to make sure our government officials, including all of you, uphold our Constitution. And I thank you, just like Cindy, for everything you've done. My concern, as Brian brought up earlier when he went over the definition of patriot, is that you guys all took an oath, and I've taken one in the past, to uphold and to protect us from any enemies, foreign or domestic. And right now, most of us are pretty aware that there is a concerted effort to divide us by race, by nationality, by religious belief, by political belief, by sexual orientation, now by masks, maskers, non-maskers, vaccinated, non-vaccinated. And now what I'm seeing is we're even dividing by government entities. So we have a school, we have a hospital, and we have a county. And there's a purpose behind that, to divide us, to make us angry with one another, to make us attack one another. When in fairness, we're all on the same page. We just want our constitutionally protected liberties to be enforced. For 30 years I worked in a school system, and right now I cannot walk into a school to see my daughter, to participate in any of her activities. She's a senior, she's my last one. And I'm unable to attend any of her, and participate in any of the stuff that's happening in her senior year because of a religious belief I have that I cannot wear a face covering. I'm unable to attend. There's some constitutional breaches happening right now, and while we're all entitled to our opinion, we're not entitled to our own facts. So what I'm asking you to do, I don't even know if this is legal, that's where our GA is going to come in. Would it be possible for you guys to consider having maybe a retreat where the county commissioners, the hospital board, I don't even know if it's legal, and the school district board of trustees, all the elected officials got together. You had constitutionally sound attorneys, medical professionals, and different people where you all get together. I know this for a fact. If all of you got in a room and all heard the same information, and you sat around and had an opportunity to have solid, robust discourse, you would agree on 99% of the stuff. We all do. So I'm wondering if that might be the next step, because my concern is I don't want to see our county divided.
Just a quick comment, Amy, because I understand where you're coming from, but unfortunately, some of the other entities, even though we could all agree, are handled by state, Board
Right.
of Education.
Yeah, I know
and
they're
such.
separate.
So even though we would all agree, they still may not go with the county and have to go,
Yeah.
with the entities
That's why maybe
higher
if
up.
you
And that's
open it up to a retreat, an invitation, and an informational.
It would have to be scheduled.
Sure.
We can't get all three boards together. It would have to be scheduled,
For
and they
sure.
have to consent. Those two entities have refused steadfastly to deal with this.
Right, that's why I'm wondering if we opened up our arms. I'm just trying to be, I'm the rose-colored
We can't
glasses down.
set it
but-
without their
Yeah.
express permission
Okay,
and cooperation.
You know, Amy,
We're not getting that from them.
I understand that. That's why I thought if we were able to have open discourse and get you guys all in a room and just have them express their concerns. What are their hesitations, and honor that. Everybody's coming at this from a different angle. I've done my research, which gives me my opinion, but it's my opinion. If we all got together and so this is just something for you guys to talk about.
We could take it a step further too. You could actually have a town hall meeting. With
Town hall meeting.
All political subdivisions in attendance, to where we do it something in the evening to where
The
a
whole
lot of people
community
could-
can
the whole
come.
community could come in, exactly.
I would love something like that. So anyway, that's just where I am. I hate to see us divide.
Yeah.
Because people are now divided over things that, like I said, if we got together, we'd
Are
agree on.
trivial in the big picture.
They really are, when we're talking about our unalienable rights being taken from us right now, our liberties.
the core issue, the way I see it, is either you are an independent thinker or a dependent thinker. You're either independent or you're other dependent. And the people who are independent thinkers, like us, we've got a different perspective from people who depend on others to tell them how to think through the information that they give. I got up every morning for 4 weeks waiting to hear homeless people dying by the hundreds in Washoe County and Vegas. And when that didn't happen, and when I went to the state meeting, when I went to the last NACO meeting I attended, and Kilpatrick, who is now the president of NACO in the state, when she brought that point up, there was no spike in Vegas or Washoe County due to COVID in the homeless communities. That means that herd immunity worked.
Again, that's where if you got everybody together and heard everybody. Anyway, that's just something to consider, maybe a community meeting. I don't like to see us divide. over issues where, like I said, I think for the most part, if we all had an opportunity, in my experience, even the people that I had the most robust disagreements with, when we sat down, we actually agreed on most of it. It was just little side conversations. Anyway, thank you for your time and thank you for everything you're doing.
Thank you, Amy.
Thanks for
Any other
doing this thing.
public comment?
I have public comment. And I think that, in my opinion, this coming weekend is important for this, and what Amy is referring to with a group gathering like this. It is essential that everybody knows the roles and responsibility of everybody within their county. From our sheriff, to our county commissioners, to our school districts, to our hospital boards, and what that entails, because everybody's hiding behind this sheet of, well, it's coming down from the big government. In my opinion, that's bogus and it's a scapegoat. The ultimate authority in any county lies, in my opinion, with this board right here. The reason I say that, the sheriff is the number one throughout. However, this board sets his budget. And if they were to cut his budget, he is hamstrung. When he has his full budget, he is the ultimate authority for this county. Not the President of the United States has any authority over him or this ground in the county. Our district attorney can stand up and support what he does. This Board of County Commissioners has the ultimate authority within this county. Nobody supersedes you guys as a whole. And that's what makes this so special, is that you guys have upheld your oaths of office, and them roles and responsibilities need to be echoed throughout the remainder of our county. Everybody does probably agree on a few common core things. It doesn't matter if you're a Republican or if you're a Democrat. Your oath of office and this censorship and the fear mongering that's been going on here has got out of hand throughout this country. If everybody in this county turned their news off for about 3 weeks, and then this celebration was taking off, you would not hear about Black Lives Matter, you would not hear about anything else. What you'd have is a bunch of people that are extremely excited about what this commission, what this district attorney, what this sheriff has done for our county. You guys have done stuff that nobody else in the whole country has done. And it starts right here. It doesn't come, there's no president that's going to come in here and save you guys. And whoever the hell's telling themselves that is losing their mind. That's craziness. Or the government's going to take over, and when the military takes over, they're going to save you. No. It's saved right here by you upholding your oaths of office, by not allowing the censorship, by welcoming anybody in to say what they want to say, and having open discussion, because truth has a way of standing on its own. Truth doesn't need anybody to, the only way they can keep the truth out is not allow it to be spoken. And what this board has done, and what the sheriff has done, and what the district attorney has done, that's what makes us so special right here, right now, in our country. So to get us all together and think that we're going to all agree, we are all going to agree, but what needs to be done is uphold oaths of office, stop the censorship. It's ridiculous. Let truth stand by itself. This board has already done it. It's incredible, and that's what has taken this gathering that's going to happen on the 15th from Sheriff Mack just going to present a plaque to realizing what this board has done, what this county has done, and all of a sudden he's changed his tour. Everybody that's heard about it wants to come. I have calls all the time. What's the magic fairy dust for Lambert County? You guys want to know what the magic fairy dust is? We have real people up here, the people elected to do their job and have done their job. That is the magic fairy dust right here sitting in front of us, sitting in this room. So I'm sorry to ramble, but for crying out loud, this censorship and this stuff, it's got to end, and that will bring everybody together. That's really, the truth will stand by itself.
I think that's a really great point. And I'm going to bring this up again. Not one time have you heard anything on the news about women having issues when they go for their second mammogram after they take this shot. That's still not even mentioned anywhere. And that's a big deal. They're hiding the truth.
Sorry. Yeah, you're all right. I'm sorry. So we're good? Is any more? So we have a motion.
I make a motion to adjourn.
A second? All right, I made the motion. Brian, second. All in favor? Aye.
Who's buying lunch?
This conference is no longer being recorded.